Welcome to EXP Weekly Live Update Nashville, one of my favorite cities with the greatest Matt and Martie Burnett, the Burnett team there in Nashville. They make such a difference. And we've got a fun topic today because I know that it's winter. Everybody's bundling up. You guys got a lot of cold going on, but we're going to talk about spring home selling. And if you even think you want to sell your home for the hot market in the spring, now is the time. Let's dive into that important topic because people wait too long. Matt and Martie, great to see you again. Week.
Thanks for having us. Yes, bring on spring. I'm not a winter kind of gal, so I'm ready for spring already. So let's talk about it more.
Well, I was braving the terrible spring conditions here in San Diego filming at the beach yesterday. So I suffered for all of you, I promise.
Oh, boo.
Suffered at what, 65? Yeah, that's terrible.
Give or take, I needed a light sweater. It was fine. All right, let's dive into talking about the spring. People talk about selling their homes. Yeah, I know, right? I do have winter coats. But
and I'm having to wear
it. People plan on selling their homes in the spring and they think, okay, great, I'm going to call my agent or I'm going to dive into that in April. And that is way too late. Let's talk about getting ahead of this and what you guys really recommend. Martie, I'm going to kick it off with you.
Yes, it is so important. People don't realize, like, you call somebody and like, call me up, hey, I'm ready to list my house, great, that's awesome. I come over and, but there's prep work. There's ways to list your property and make it maximize your profits, which is my goal. Like, obviously everybody wants to sell their house and make absolutely as much money as they can, which is my job. So when people contact me to sell, there's a process we go through. So, yes, I can come over and I can list your house tomorrow, throw it on the market, but that's not really what's in your best interest. So I like to tell people, like, give us, let us know, let us come over early. Let's set up a plan, a game plan. Let's get it ready. Let's get it together and do it right. Do it one time and do it right. The thing about selling is, and moving in general, it's stressful. It's stressful for the family, everybody involved. So our job is to make it minimally stressful for people. So with a plan in place, we can minimize the stresses.
Matt, what's your perspective on the exterior of things that you recommend and what people may not realize to look at?
Yeah, so curb appeal is one of the biggest things. When you drive into your house, look at it from the buyer's perspective. Is the landscaping in check? Is it all freshened up? All those sorts of things. The first thing they're going to see when they pull in the driveway. And one thing that we do also is when we come in and look at your home, there's a handful of things that inspectors may always find or just neglected or little issues that we can go ahead and look at those and address them. Just for instance, your downspouts may be going straight into the mulch and that gets water in the crawl space. Mm-hmm. Most houses around here probably have that. We can eliminate that and go ahead and fix that right off the bat. But lots of little things like that can just make the whole process a lot easier and smoother.
The idea of being proactive is huge, and that's what we want to do. If you can be proactive on the front end, it saves you a lot of time, headache, and energy on the back end. Again, minimizing that stress.
So with some specifics, like let's say that, they come to you and go, well, we really have a minimal budget for preparing the house because we need to sell for XYZ, relocation, whatever. What are some things on the interior and exterior that are minimal cost? And then let's also talk about some things that, like, all right, they want to put in a big budget to maximize that. Let's start with the minimal cost. What are some quick advice tips that you guys have?
Minimally, when I go in, and it's like what Matt says, when you pull up, the client's immediately judging the house, and it's very for most people that are buying it as their home, it's very subconsciously they're pulling up, they're trying to find the house. So they're going to find the house how? By the mailbox. The numbers are crumbling off and you can't see them, and they have trouble, it's leaning over, and then immediately, subconsciously, they start thinking maintenance. So I always tell them, start with the mailbox. Make sure the numbers are visible. Make sure it's clear. You don't want them frustrated when they come in the front door because they had trouble finding it. They pass it. They had to turn around. Landscape, like Matt says, it's easy. Black mulch. Every house, black mulch or the wood chips. Steer away from red mulch. It doesn't photograph very well. So black mulch and a layer of black mulch, getting the weeds out, making sure that it just looks crisp and clean. You don't have to hire a landscaper and spend $2,000, re-landscaping the yard. Get rid of the leaves, put down a nice layer of black mulch, and make sure everything's trimmed up nice and neat so that it just looks like a clean slate. You don't have to break the bank with that. again, coming up onto the curb, if you can do pressure washing, rent a pressure washer, borrow one, whatever. Again, you don't have to hire all this stuff out. These are things that you can do that make a huge difference. It sounds silly, like somebody's not going to buy my house because I didn't pressure wash the driveway. No, that's not the point. The point is when they pull in and they step out of their car and everything looks maintenance free, then they're all of a sudden, it's starting to feel like home, and they're not looking around going, ooh, I got to do this, I got to do that. Any peeling paint on the exterior, scrape it, repaint it. All those types of things give a subconscious feel to a buyer that makes them feel like the home is well maintained.
That's really good advice. What about on the interior? Is there a couple things that you walk in and go, okay, here's some inexpensive things on the interior?
Interior, the biggest thing is to declutter everything. Get rid of personal type stuff you really, really, really want to minimize. I go into all the houses and we stage them, whether they're lived in or not. And it's just important to minimize, clean out closets, clean out, and really you're moving. So you need to do this anyway. And it's a lot easier to do these things on your own time frame versus a buyer standing there going, we got to close in 30 days. We got to close in 30 days. So get this stuff done ahead of time. So it serves two purposes. One, your house is going to show better. It's going to photograph better. And two, it's less you have to do once the buyer is involved. And Matt can speak a little bit to the interior as well. There's other things you can do, but initially it's declutter and get rid of everything.
Yeah, the less stuff that's in there, the bigger the house feels. And also, if there's any unfinished projects in the house, focus on getting those done. If something was done halfway, just finish it. The buyers are going to notice that. First thing they walk in the room.
Half the baseboards in two of the rooms.
Or you painted one room but you didn't paint the other, and now that it doesn't flow really well. That's another thing about interior. Your biggest bang for your buck on the interior, and Matt, you can weigh in on this too, but fresh paint and fresh carpet. In a lot of areas, you're competing against new construction, and a lot of people that are out there looking don't want to have to fool with, or maybe you don't have in their budget for paint and carpet. So if you've got children, and so from the waist down, your paint's trashed and your carpet's covered in, ground up crayons, we get it. That's part of having a family. But the new buyer wants their kids' handprints on the wall and their crayons in the carpet, not yours. So paint and carpet are huge, and you're decluttering anyway. So
might as well
do that. So if that's in budget, paint and carpet will always give you the largest return on investment, including the decluttering, as anything else you can do. Now, of course, you can take it to the next level, which Matt can talk about as well. If it's somebody that really wants to get the most bang for their buck, we've got, different levels of advice for that.
Right. And that was my next question is, Matt, if let's say somebody's like, look, I've got a good budget. We really want to put this into it. What would be the first few rooms if they've got a good budget to say, well, really do this and this? What do you advise on that?
I think each house is going to be a little bit different. And I think that's where Marty and myself come in and can really help them to spend that money. Floors are big. Like Marty said, paint's big, maybe countertops or appliances. It just depends on the particular house and what that needs. Maybe it's the outside that needs the most. Who knows? Each house could be dependent on that. And one thing, when we're talking about decluttering, it doesn't mean declutter to put all your stuff in the garage, because then you just fill your garage up. So it needs to go off-site or hide. Because all the men are going to want to look at their garage and see how much room they got for their stuff. And we've seen some garages that are just completely packed full of somebody else's stuff. You can't even tell how big it is.
Well, and
go ahead.
Sorry, Marty. I love this because it circles back around as to, again, why it's so important that they call you now. Because any of these projects, they don't want to be doing 2 days before they list the house, or they have a deadline that they have to be moved or relocated by a certain time. It's incredible information, because you're going to be able to say, hey, you need 2 months of doing this, right?
Right. And Marty's had several people call and say, look, come look at my house, but wait another month because I'm spending money on X. And Marty may say, well, wait a minute, let me go look at that before you spend money on that. That may not be the best use of your time and money. Let's look at it first to see what's going to be the best route to take.
Yeah, not all upgrades are created equal. I've had somebody call me and say, hey, we're thinking about selling our house in a year. And I have this conversation with people all the time. We're thinking about selling our house in a year, but we want to add, a covered porch and a fire pit. and spend $50,000 in so that we can enjoy it for the next year. And I tell them, those are beautiful things, and those are things that you will enjoy. And if that's what you want to do, you should absolutely do it. But as far as the return on investment, you're not, because you spend 50,000, you're not going to get 75 more out of the house. So if that's what you're looking for, that's got to be added in different ways. So not all upgrades are created equal. And if you're thinking about selling, but you want to do some upgrades maybe over the next 6 months and enjoy those for a little while before you do sell, definitely call us and let us weigh in. And I'm definitely not going to tell somebody if they want brand new appliances to enjoy for the next 6 months to a year. I'm not going to tell you not to do that, but I will tell you whether or not those will bring you return on investment. Or if you have a house that you've lived in for a really long time, the market in Nashville is booming. You see people buying houses in your neighborhood for X number of dollars and then turning them, doing some updates and then turning them. And you're thinking, God, I could do that with my own house. You absolutely can do that with your own house. But the problem people run into is it's their own house. So they start doing things and spending money in places where it's not going to bring them a return. So what you would do is say, hey, Matt, hey, Marty, can you guys come over? Tell me what to do and what not to do. I'm going to tell you where to spend the money so that you will get the best return on your investment. So it's like Matt said, every house will be different. And what we typically set up is, the number one non-negotiable: paint, carpet, period, end of story. We got to do that. Okay, so we've still got money, paint, carpet, and spruce up landscape. I don't mean redo it landscape. So, after that, what is it? Do we paint cabinets, replace countertops? Do we put fresh appliances in and just do knobs and hinges? Do we do light fixtures? Do we not? Like, that's where your budget can vary, and depending on, what you're going for. If you've got a completely dated house and people are flipping in your neighborhood and you want to do your house, it's important to do it right. Like, there's certain things you have to do to get the amount of money. And a lot of people, well, I don't want to do that, but I want to do this. Sometimes you can't go halfway. It's either all or nothing, or a small spruce up, and you're not going to get, what this guy's getting, but you're going to get here. So that's the thing that people don't understand, is that there are certain things you have to do to get the return on investment.
Which is why they need to go to expert advisors like you guys, because most of us don't know all of these little things. And you do this all day, every day. You eat, sleep, and breathe this business and helping homeowners just like that, which is why you need to go to a professional. You don't go to your next door neighbor, for medical advice. You go to the doctor. The same thing with this. You want to go to the experts. And I'm speaking a little out of turn here, but I want to point out that for those watching that are outside of the Nashville area, please still call Matt and Marty, because they're going to be able to advise you over the phone and give you some ideas. And they have partners in all areas around the country that they could say, hey, we're going to hand you off to one of our partners and still make sure that you have, the resources that you need. So definitely still call. They have team members that they work with around the country. So if you're out of area, you want to talk to them more about this, they are there to still take your call. Numbers are there below. Make sure you reach out, because they have done this, a million times, right, guys?
Yes, and absolutely, out of state, out of town, that's fun. I mean, that's great. Even if you're a real estate professional, maybe you're new, maybe you're not, or maybe this market is different from what you're used to, and you think, God, I would love to have a network. I'd love to network with these agents and just have some, Matt and I love to have high-minded conversations with other agents, learn what they know, they learn what we know, and just share ideas. And so that's always fun too. So even the agents that don't have as much experience in this, or maybe have more than we do, we would love to chat with you and just talk with you about what you're doing and different strategies. So even strategizing with other agents, local or not local, we love to do that, because it will allow us all to grow. We're always going to learn. That's one thing I love about this business, is that I tell Matt, I'm like, if we ever learn it all, we're going to have to get out of it. And that's the beautiful thing.
Always learning.
Yeah, we learn something new with every single deal that we do. And we learn from others. We learn from our colleagues, as well, local and, national. So we'd love to have conversations with agents as well. I'm always open to hear new ideas.
Exactly. You guys are all stronger together. And what I love is that when you see professionals like you guys and the others out there that are really, presenting a big voice for the industry on behalf of the industry, then you're seeing who those professionals are and you're getting the right advice. And sometimes it's hard for consumers to weed through that. And so your visibility is critical to say, hey, these are trustworthy partners. You also work with trustworthy partners. And then it really makes the industry stronger as a whole. And home buyers are happier. For all that, you guys are doing great advice today. Really, I'm going to go get a can of paint. I feel like I need to paint things now. Thank you. So really good advice. And I know you guys have special.
Don't go paint without calling. We've got to give you color recommendations. I don't want to come in and your kitchen be mustard yellow. Like, oh, we love this color. We thought it was going to be Pottery Barn yellow, and
right. And it's
yellow's
not
a really tough color to pick. So we will. I mean, we also can help advise you color wise. You know, if you're thinking about selling, you obviously want to go with a very versatile color, you know, and things like that. So we can help, you know, all the way down. Like, we really want to be as involved as we can to make sure that the choices you make are going to show up, you know, when you get that check at closing, you know.
Awesome. And I hope everybody follows you guys. Go to the Burnett Team Facebook page, because they are incredible. They're also part of the American Dream TV. Their last segment, blindfold beer tasting, you have got to check it out. It's awesome. They're doing really fun stuff, and they're making a huge difference there in the Nashville area, highlighting some incredible businesses. And it's really fun to watch them grow and make a difference in their community while they're also doing great work. So just want to give the shout out to that as well. And I know you have a special guest lined up next week. That'll be announced next week. So you don't want to miss our Wednesday at noon Nashville time weekly update. The amazing Burnett team. Thank you so much, you guys.
Thanks, Amy. Looking forward to next week.